Good afternoon. Sometimes the way we put words together, we don't really give it a second thought. And I find myself really interested in how I string my words together, how disparate words connect to create an accepted and common saying. And one in particular is on my mind, and that is falling in love. We talk about it all the time. This is the love from one human to another. The creation of a couple, this process begins it's more difficult to fall in love with your child, or to fall in love with your pet, or to fall in love with your grandparents. You're just born in a state of love. I guess the one exception could be pets. Maybe at first you were lukewarm. Maybe you came into a relationship. You fell in love with someone that had a pet, and you came into a relationship where the pet was part of the deal. And perhaps you fell in love with the pet. But generally speaking, it's the attraction from one person to another, usually, almost always, in the context of potential mating, to become mates, to become partners, beginning the process. And also, many times we fall in love only to quickly fall out of love. Or even this process of falling out of love can be stretched to longer periods of time. Didn't help. Trying to adjust my light. I'm back to trying to use the side lighting. But I don't like this reflection in my painting. Looks like my feet are on fire. Anyway, I'll get better at the lighting. But falling out of love. But the operative word here, whether you're falling in love or falling out of love, the operative word is falling. We say head over heels, kind of implying a somersaulting. But let's start looking at the first word, falling. I remember listening to one of my many meditation soundtracks, and they had a song called Rising in Love. And it wasn't until I entertained this idea of rising in love that I paid enough attention to what we call falling in love. And this rising in love just resonated with me because the impetus is upwards. Falling is downwards. So I started thinking that if this was intentional, falling in love kept love in the earthly realms, the realms of experience, experiential realms. Was this done intentionally? This is how my mind likes to work and puzzle these out. But most times something catches my interest, but it leads somewhere totally unexpected, as did analyzing, thinking about falling in love versus rising in love. Personal love can be exclusive, can be somewhat limiting, can foster jealousies, can bring unreciprocated, unwanted impositions on those that we fall in love with. We're not assured, certainly, of reciprocation just because we fall in love with someone else. Does not guarantee. In fact, it seems just a fluke, a stroke of luck, when you can fall in love with someone that falls in love with you as well. Pretty rare occurrence. And of course, sustaining this relationship of love, the immediate attraction, and then what? Both parties have to willingly work at keeping this relationship viable. It takes two, as they say. And I have had my opportunities, my chances to fall in love. And I don't really claim to understand this process. I'm sure it's a chemical reaction geared towards preserving the species. Falling in love is the primary impetus of falling in love is probably procreation, or at least to foster a growth of a home. It's perfectly okay to fall in love with another, a man and a man, a woman and a woman, where procreation is not the primary objective of the process, by definition. But it's equally valid, and my point here is that it's on a personal level. It's limited and restricted, and all the consequences of possession, ownership. But if we look at if we look at rising in love, now we're beginning to experience full love, love in all its unadorned glory. It comes up from within. It's not dependent on reciprocation. Nobody. For this love to continue, you don't necessarily need someone else to rise in love with you, although the more the merrier. How beautiful that would be if we all rose up in love. But rising in love, you can begin to reflect the infinite, to give sustenance or substance to the ethereal, that without form. I've often spoken of the song of the universe, and this rising in love, love blossoming from the heart, up through the throat, on to the third eye, and opening outwards and upwards from the crown chakra. We can add our notes, add our tones. We can contribute to the song of the universe. In fact, just as wolves separated by great distances howl and respond, so too can this rising in love, this ultimate expression of love, so too can it communicate soul to soul, and as well as becoming part of the whole. Just thinking of this, just imagining this on a wide scale, if it was a common practice, if people thought about rising in love as much as they have thought or are thinking or will think of falling in love. Now, love is beautiful in any form that it takes. The love between one and another can become so pure and so sacred that it resonates. It simply makes the world a better place. It's the accoutrements that come with this that are less than desirable. Unrequited love, love that's falling in love and not having that love returned, is painful. It adds to suffering. Whereas reciprocated, returned love, someone falling in love with you at the same time you've fallen in love with them, is really a beautiful thing. It's just keeping its purity that requires so much effort. An example of this would be, I saw an elder couple and they were holding hands and they were well into their 80s. They were walking along, strolling along, holding hands. And I just smiled to them. They were approaching me and I just smiled to them and spoke. And I said, hey, share the secret. It's obvious that you two are in love. How long have you been together, if I might ask? Oh, 40, 50 years. So, this is really a beautiful thing. And I said, what's the secret? And they both beamed and almost answered simultaneously, we're best friends. And then they went on to say, after the passion ebbs, as it does and will. Passion is one of those intensities that's not destined to last long. Its short life is one of the beauties of it, in fact. And for me, in my experience, I would add bliss. Unavoidable clarity. I look at these just as passion, that it's short-lived and its beauty is enhanced by its short existence. It's not a condition that will remain. Now I know that people have said that they are in spiritual bliss. And I say, lucky them. Yeah. But I wonder how, in this state of bliss, that they can stay anchored to this world. Bliss seems the avenue of departure. When you're in a state of bliss, I think that's when you rise off your meditation cushion and float. You've literally become lighter. You're in the light body. It's the outer body, the physical body, that keeps us anchored to that cushion. So a state of bliss, its day will come. For me, my experience to be in a continual state of bliss will come, but at the appropriate time, when it's time for me to leave this body. Whereas rising in love, unlike passion, bliss, and clarity, rising in love is a sustainable experience. It's not short-lived, or it's not the precursor, not necessarily the precursor to monumental or substantial change, as bliss is the process of leaving behind this shell and continuing on the spiraling journey to and through infinity. So rising in love is something that I can suggest to all of us, that its practice makes a substantial impact and difference to all that's around us. It comes from an infinite source. You'll never run out of this impersonal, all-encompassing love. This love with truly no expectations. This love frees you from disappointment and sorrow when you've fallen in unrequited love. Fallen, rising. As I'm speaking these words to you, I can feel the love rising. And leaving. And the beautiful thing is contributing to that song of the universe, adding. But the beautiful thing about this process of in to out is the other side of the equation. Just as we breathe out, we surely must breathe in. So just as we rising in love, and bringing it from within to without, we're the silent beneficiaries of the return. Breathing in the love, taking the love from abundance and bringing it inward. And in this process, like everything else, there is evolution. The love that you rise up in, that generates from within, that adds to that without, comes back to you at increasing levels of frequency. The love gets higher. The love gets pure. And it seems to me that those of you that had the bent, if this is a path that would result in awakening, because this is the path of compassion, selfless giving. Seva, which means performance. Seva is unrewarded, unasked for service. Selfless service is seva. And it's commonly used in the ashram, and it's talking about your chores around the ashram to keep ashram life functional. Somebody has to make the beds, somebody has to cook the meals, somebody has to clean the floors, wash the windows, take care of the master, the guru, the siddha, whatever the case may be. And this selfless service brings its own rewards. So this simple act of generating love, rising love up through your chakras, in that process adding elements that come from those receptive chakras. And I'm talking about throat, third eye, crown chakra, which sits above our head. All of that will intensify, will add to what we're projecting, what we're sending out there. This rising in love. And just as breathing in, taking this love in, all the chakras from the lowest to the highest become involved. A chakra is a point of energy, and it can project and receive. If you want to get a sort of an idea, because we have chakra wheels in different parts of our body, if you hold out your hand like that in your meditation, or two hands, it won't take long before you feel some spinning. And this concept of a wheel serves well to express this feeling. And if you hold out your hands briefly and you pay enough attention, or you don't pay any attention at all, whichever is your chosen course. For some, paying attention means to bring the ego and bring the mind back to what's happening. For others, for those people, they need to just let go. But for other people who use the mind as I believe it was intended to do, can experience this, can think about it. So either don't think or think. There's something for everyone. Remember, one size never fits all. So in the process of a self-examination, in the process of discovery, you will learn what works best for you. When my mind interferes with what's going on with me spiritually, if it starts to ask questions or starts to interfere, I put it to work. I have a long list of tasks for it, work to do. And essentially, as I mentioned before, my mind gift to me is to determine what's not so. And if you fail to silence it, like I have, if you decide that it's a useful tool, why try to conquer, suppress, all in the name of clarity? And now I see that clarity is fleeting. It's not a lasting condition. We get glimpses of clarity. Bouts, have I called it before? Bouts of clarity. Bouts of bliss. Glimpses of bliss. But I'm talking about things that we can maintain, we can grow, we can nurture while we're in this gifted form. For it truly is a gift. At this stage that human beings are in the spiritual evolution, the non-ending, non-beginning cycle of enlightenment, awakening, this body is necessary. We will come back into this body until we're advanced enough, until we can leave this tool behind. Now I wonder sometimes, because I like to wonder, will there be the mind? I've already sort of got inklings that parts of personalities may go forward. So how about this critical thinking capacity? Will we still have to sort? I suspect that just as there's no end to truth, there's no end to not true. I feel like there'll always be something to sort. But this simple action of rising in love can be practiced by anyone, anywhere, anytime. And it's a lasting condition, just as breathing in and out, just as heartbeat after heartbeat. These things stay with us. We can utilize them at the same time, helping ourselves and contributing to the greater good in our desire to help, to improve all, to embrace our unity and our togetherness.